before we go today, I want to talk about something that's a little bit fun. It's a photo that's been making its way around the interwebs the last few days. A memo sent out 20 years ago this week announcing the arrival of the internet at NPR. Dennis Fuze introduces employees to a collection of computer networks that is connected around the world. A code of netiquette exists among users within user groups, but otherwise you pay your money, find your niche, and take your chances. If you haven't seen this yet, I urge you to stop by the Links blog and take a look. How far we have come since 1994.
You know, I was here 20 some years ago, and I probably wrote a memo something like this to the faculty when we started teaching. Wow, this great new thing called the internet. And this was before there was the World Wide Web. The line I really liked was, the most powerful tool on the internet is email. You know, in some ways, maybe it still is today, but, you know, look how far NPR has come from, you know, the wide-eyed, you know, wow, this internet thing too. They are one of the most sophisticated users of the internet and social media and mobile media to keep public media relevant.
I mean, I think it's fascinating when you sort of look at these memos and you think about the fact that now you have Twitter, there's more communication going on by email as well as by text. I mean, even more by text than you do actual people talking one-on-one. So, I mean, to come from where we were 20 years ago to now, it's incredible.
But it also says a little something about just how little time has actually passed. And when we think about huge revolutions in communication, here's one that occurred 20 years ago. So for us to still be in all the churn and not knowing where it's all going is actually pretty natural. 20 years ago is not that long.
Well, and think about how much we're even benefiting from that. As an NPR member station here at KBIA, some of our listeners are listening on 91.3, but a good number of our listeners could be listening to us online from the website. They could be listening to us from the iTunes podcast. They could be watching us on YouTube or on television.
And frankly, I think going forward, most folks who are listening to folks like us are kind of our age. Younger people are not really consuming public media, or at least they're not consuming it through radio stations and TV stations. So NPR and PBS and all these other folks need to figure out ways to use the interwebs, mobile technology, and other things to try to reach that audience, or their business model is going to be in trouble too.
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, you go from that time period where the computer was stationary to now where you have pretty much the smartphone, or you have.
I was going to say, you put one in your pocket right before we started today. A few
minutes ago, exactly. I mean, that's the incredible part to me, is that it's not just the software that has changed and the way in which we talk to each other. It's also the hardware and how that sort of come about in terms of a hardwired on a desk computer to walking around with pretty much a little computer in your hand.